Mother-in-law's revenge on my cheating wife caught in the act at our house. It all starts with a text message. I'm sitting in my office, drowning in paperwork, when my phone buzzes on the desk. I glance at the screen and freeze. The message is from my mother-in-law, a woman who's never been one to mince words. Asterisk, Jason, you need to get home. Now. Asterisk, my stomach tightens. She never calls or texts unless it's something serious. And there's something about the way she's worded it, short, urgent, that sets me on edge. For a second, I stare at the screen, trying to decipher the hidden meaning. Then, another message comes in. Asterisk, bring your phone. Trust me, you'll want to film this. Asterisk, I feel the blood drain from my face. What does that mean? What the hell could possibly be going on that she wants me to catch on video? My heart pounds as a million thoughts race through my mind. None of them good. My marriage hasn't been great lately. Susan, my wife, has been distant, more so than usual. We've been married for 8 years, and over the last few months, something shifted. She's been staying late at work, offering vague excuses about her job, avoiding eye contact when I ask her about her day. I've tried to shake the nagging feeling that something's wrong, but it's been gnawing at me, getting stronger every day. But this? My own mother-in-law, urging me to rush home and film something? I grab my keys, adrenaline surging through my veins. I don't bother to respond to her text. I just run to my car, heart hammering in my chest, and floor it. Every second feels like an eternity as I drive the familiar roads to my house. The same roads I've traveled 1,000 times before, now suddenly menacing, like I'm headed towards the point of no return. I don't know what I'm going to find when I get there, but the knot of dread in my stomach tells me it's nothing good. I pull up to my house, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turn white. The driveway is empty, but the front door is ajar. My mother-in-law is already inside. I step out of the car, my legs feeling shaky, like they might give out beneath me at any second. I glance around the quiet street, half hoping for some sign that I've misread everything, that this is just a misunderstanding. But deep down, I know something's wrong. As I approach the door, I can hear voices inside, faint but unmistakable. One of them is Susan's. The other, I don't recognize. I push the door open, my pulse racing, and step into the hallway. The familiar scent of our home hits me. Susan's favorite candles, the faint smell of dinner from last night. Everything looks the same, but it feels different, foreign, like I've stepped into someone else's life. Then I see her, my mother-in-law, standing at the entrance of the living room. She's calm, unnervingly calm, her arms crossed over her chest. When she sees me, she gives me a small nod, like she's been expecting this. She jerks her head toward the living room, and I follow her gaze. There they are. Susan, my wife, is on the couch, and next to her is a man I've never seen before in my life. They're close, too close. She's in her bathrobe, her hair disheveled in a way I've only ever seen after. No, I can't let my mind go there. Not yet. They don't notice me at first. They're too wrapped up in their hushed conversation, his hand resting on her knee like he belongs there. It takes everything in me not to explode right then and there. My hands shake as I pull out my phone. If I confront them now, it's just words against words. I need proof. I need the cold, hard evidence. I hit record. The man looks up first, his face contorting into shock. He says something to Susan, but it's too late. She turns, and her eyes meet mine. I've never seen someone go so pale, so fast. She jumps to her feet, her mouth opening and closing like she's searching for something to say, something that can possibly make this better. But there's nothing. Not for this. My mother-in-law, God bless her, steps aside, letting me handle this. Her silence speaks volumes. She's known all along. She's been waiting for this moment, for me to finally see the truth. I take a step forward, keeping the phone aimed at them. Susan stammers, Jason, I can explain. But I don't let her finish. I raise my hand to stop her. No, I say, my voice trembling with anger and disbelief. You don't get to explain. Her affair partner stands, looking like he's about to bolt, but I shoot him a look that freezes him in place. Sit down, I growl. You're not going anywhere. He freezes, his eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. Susan stands there, looking between me and him, her hands shaking as she tries to tie her bathrobe tighter, as if that will somehow cover up what's happening. For a moment, the room is silent, the tension thick enough to suffocate. I can hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears, feel the adrenaline surging through my veins, but I force myself to stay calm. I need to keep it together. I slowly lower the phone, but it's still recording. So, I begin, my voice low, controlled. This is what you've been doing while I'm at work? While I've been trying to make sure we keep a roof over our heads. Susan's eyes fill with tears, but she doesn't say a word. Her lips tremble, and I can see she's trying to come up with something, anything, to say. The man, on the other hand, stays frozen, like he's hoping I'll just disappear if he stands still enough. Who the hell is this guy? I ask, though my voice is barely more than a growl. My hands are shaking so badly I have to clench them into fists just to keep them steady. How long has this been going on, Susan? How long have you been lying to me? She takes a step forward, her hand reaching out toward me, but I back away, disgust curling in my stomach. Jason, please. I swear, it's not what it looks like, she pleads, her voice breaking, but I can't even look at her. Not what it looks like? I laugh bitterly, my voice rising. Really? Because it looks like I just walked in on you, and this guy having a nice little time in our home. She starts to cry, but the sight of her tears does nothing for me now. The betrayal is too fresh, too deep. I've spent years trusting this woman, giving her everything I had, and this is how she repays me. I turn my attention to the guy sitting on my couch, still too scared to move. What's your name? I demand, my voice hard as steel. He stammers, Greg. I'm Greg. Greg, I repeat, the name tasting bitter on my tongue. How long, Greg? How long have you been sneaking around with my wife? Greg looks like he's about to pass out. He glances at Susan, clearly hoping she'll step in and save him, but she's too busy sobbing to even form a coherent thought. I didn't know, man, Greg finally stammers. I didn't know she was married. I let out a harsh, humorless laugh. Didn't know she was married? I echo, stepping closer to him. So you just happened to miss the wedding ring? You thought this was her place, huh? He doesn't have an answer. He just stares at me, sweat beading on his forehead. Get out, I say, my voice low and dangerous. Get the hell out of my house before I do something I'll regret. Greg practically jumps to his feet, but before he can make it to the door, I stop him one last time. If I ever see you near her, or me again, I swear to God, you'll wish you never met her. He nods, not saying a word, and bolts out of the house like a scared animal, leaving me and Susan in the suffocating silence of our broken home. The door slams shut behind Greg, leaving only the echo of his footsteps as he runs down the driveway. I stand there, my fists clenched at my sides, staring at the spot where he was just sitting. Everything feels surreal, like I'm stuck in a nightmare I can't wake up from. Susan is still standing there, sobbing quietly, her shoulders shaking as she covers her face with her hands. I can't bring myself to feel pity for her. Not right now. Not after what I just walked into. My heart feels like it's been ripped out of my chest, and all that's left is anger. Anger and disbelief. I look over at my mother-in-law. She's watching us silently, her face as unreadable as ever. But there's a flicker of something in her eyes. Something like disappointment, maybe even disgust. It's clear she's known about this for a while, and part of me wonders how long she's been waiting for me to finally see the truth for myself. Susan's voice breaks through my thoughts. Jason, I'm so sorry, she sobs, taking a step toward me again. I don't even know what to say. I didn't mean for this to happen. I snap my head toward her, the bitterness rising in my throat like bile. You didn't mean for this to happen? I repeat, my voice sharp. You didn't mean to cheat on me, in our home, with some guy while I'm out working? Is that what you're telling me? She shakes her head, tears streaming down her face, but the words won't come. She knows there's nothing she can say to make this better. How long, Susan? I demand, my voice trembling with rage. How long have you been sneaking around behind my back? She hesitates, her eyes darting to the floor, and I already know the answer. It's been a while. This wasn't some one-time mistake. This was planned. Repeated. 6 months, she whispers, barely loud enough for me to hear. 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of betrayal. The weight of it all crashes down on me like a tidal wave, threatening to pull me under. How could I have been so blind? How did I not see this coming? I take a deep breath, trying to control the shaking in my hands. Why? I ask, my voice breaking. Why, Susan? Why would you do this to me? To us? She wipes at her eyes, her mascara smudging across her cheeks. I don't know, she whispers, her voice trembling. I felt alone. You've been so distant lately, and I... Don't asterisk. I cut her off, my voice hard. Don't you dare try to blame this on me. She flinches at the harshness in my voice, but I don't care. She doesn't get to twist this into something it's not. This is on her. All of it. I've been working my ass off for us, Susan. I continue, my voice rising. I've been doing everything I can to make sure we have a good life. And this is how you repay me? By sleeping with some random guy while I'm out busting my ass? She cries harder, her words coming out in broken gasps. I'm sorry, Jason. I didn't mean for it to get this far. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I laugh bitterly. Yeah, you made a mistake, all right. You destroyed our marriage. You destroyed everything. There's a moment of silence between us, the weight of her betrayal hanging heavy in the air. I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to move forward from this. All I know is that everything has changed, and there's no going back. I can't do this anymore, I finally say, my voice hollow. We're done, Susan. She looks up at me, her eyes wide with fear and desperation. No, Jason, please, she begs, reaching for me. Please, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. Don't throw it all away. I step back, out of her reach. You threw it all away, I say coldly. You did that the moment you brought him into our home. Susan drops to her knees, her hands clutching at her chest as if the weight of her actions has finally crashed down on her. She's sobbing uncontrollably now, but her tears don't move me. All I can feel is the overwhelming numbness setting in, like my emotions have been drained dry. Jason, please. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me, she begs, her voice breaking. But I can't stay. I can't even look at her anymore. The woman kneeling before me is a stranger. She's not the person I thought I married. The life we built, the trust, the memories. It all feels like a lie now, a fabrication I was too blind to see through. My mother-in-law steps forward, her face hard but sympathetic. She's been quiet through all of this, but now she speaks. Jason, she says softly, you don't have to make any decisions right now. Let's just step outside for a minute. Clear our heads. I glance at her, grateful for the suggestion. I can't breathe in here. I need space. Space to think, to process everything that's just been ripped open in front of me. Without another word, I turn and walk toward the front door, leaving Susan on the floor, sobbing. As I step outside into the cool evening air, I feel a brief sense of relief, but it's fleeting. My mind is spinning, replaying everything I've seen and heard. 6 months. 6 months of deceit, and I was completely oblivious. How did I let it go this far? My mother-in-law follows me outside and closes the door gently behind us. For a moment, we just stand there in silence. She doesn't say anything right away, and I'm grateful for that. I don't have the energy to talk. Not yet. After a few minutes, she speaks. I'm sorry you had to find out like this, Jason, she says quietly. I really am. I swallow hard, my throat tight. Did you know? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Did you know about the affair? She hesitates for a moment before nodding. Yes, she admits. I found out a few weeks ago. That's why I've been around so much lately. I didn't want to say anything until I had proof. Until you could see it for yourself. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. My own mother-in-law knew before I did. She'd been coming by the house, offering support, but all the while, she knew. And she kept it from me. I'm sorry, she continues, her voice thick with regret. I just didn't want to hurt you. I thought maybe Maybe she would come to her senses before it went this far. I let out a bitter laugh, shaking my head. Too late for that. She doesn't argue. She knows as well as I do that there's no undoing this. What's broken can't be fixed, no matter how much either of us wishes it could. What are you going to do? She asks after a long pause. I lean against the porch railing, staring out into the darkening sky. I don't know, I admit, but I can't stay with her. I can't pretend this didn't happen. My mother-in-law nods, understanding. You're right. You deserve better than this, Jason. I know she's my daughter, but you've been nothing but good to her. And she doesn't deserve you. Her words hang in the air between us, heavy with truth. I know she's right. I've given everything to this marriage, my time, my love, my trust, and in return, Susan betrayed me in the worst way possible. I'll leave tonight, I say, my voice firm. I'll figure out what to do next, but I can't stay here. My mother-in-law doesn't try to stop me. Instead, she nods again, offering a sad, understanding smile. Whatever you need, Jason, I'm here for you. With that, I turn and head back inside to pack my things. The house feels different now, cold, empty, like it no longer belongs to me. As I gather my belongings, Susan is still on the floor, her sobs quieter now but no less painful. She looks up at me as I pass, her eyes pleading, but I don't stop. I don't say a word. There's nothing left to say. I walk past Susan, her tear-streaked face a blur in my periphery. She reaches out toward me as I move through the living room, but I keep my distance, making it clear there's no conversation left to be had. Every step I take feels heavier, weighed down by the finality of it all. I never imagined I'd be packing up my things like this, leaving behind the life I built with her. Our bedroom, once a sanctuary of intimacy and shared moments, feels foreign to me now. I open the closet and pull out a duffel bag, tossing in a few clothes and essentials. I move methodically, trying to focus on the task at hand instead of the tidal wave of emotions threatening to drown me. The memories are everywhere. In the framed photos on the nightstand, in the clothes still hanging in the closet, in the bed that no longer feels like mine. I grab my toothbrush from the bathroom and glance at the mirror, catching my reflection. My eyes look different, hollowed by the weight of betrayal. I barely recognize myself. Behind me, I hear a soft knock on the doorframe. My mother-in-law stands there, watching me with a mix of sadness and quiet strength. "Are you sure you don't want to stay the night?" she asks gently. "You don't have to make any big decisions tonight." I shake my head, zipping up my bag. "No, I can't be here, not after what I saw." She doesn't push me. Instead, she steps aside to let me pass, offering a reassuring hand on my shoulder as I head back toward the front door. As I pass through the living room again, I see Susan still curled up on the floor, her body racked with silent sobs. A flicker of something, regret, sadness, hits me. This isn't how I thought it would end. We had plans, dreams. We had a future. But now it's all gone. "Jason, please," she chokes out, her voice desperate. "Please don't go. We can fix this. We can try." I stop at the door and turn to face her one last time. "Fix this?" I echo, my voice cold. "You think you can fix what you've done? You destroyed us, Susan. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." Her sobs grow louder, but I don't give in. I can't. This is the only way forward for me. Staying would mean living in the shadow of her betrayal, and I deserve better than that. With a final glance at the house that no longer feels like home, I turn and step outside. The cool night air hits me like a slap, but it's a relief after the suffocating tension inside. I toss my bag into the car and climb behind the wheel, my hands gripping the steering wheel for a moment as I try to steady myself. I sit there for a moment, staring at the house where everything changed, where my life just split into two, before and after. I look down at my phone, the recording still saved. I haven't stopped the video yet. Part of me wants to delete it, erase the proof of everything that's happened, but another part of me knows I'll need it for what comes next. Taking a deep breath, I start the engine and drive away. The road stretches ahead of me, dark and empty, just like the future I'm staring into now. I have no idea where I'm going, no idea what comes next. But I do know one thing. This chapter of my life is over. The road ahead feels endless, each mile taking me further away from the wreckage of what used to be my life. I glance in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the house shrinking into the distance, but all I see is darkness. It feels fitting, like everything familiar has vanished behind me, leaving nothing but an empty void. I drive in silence, my mind racing with questions I can't answer. Where did it all go wrong? Was it something I did? Something I missed? Or was this just who she was all along? The doubt creeps in, clawing at me, but I push it away. This isn't about me. This is about what she chose to do, what she decided was worth throwing everything away for. My phone buzzes on the seat beside me, snapping me out of my thoughts. I glance at the screen, expecting another message from my mother-in-law, but it's not her. It's my best friend, Mike. Asterisk, you good, man? Got a missed call from you earlier. Asterisk, I remember calling him hours ago now, when I was still trying to make sense of that first text from my mother-in-law. I hadn't said much, just told him I was dealing with something and would fill him in later. I hadn't expected things to unravel like this. I pull over to the side of the road and stare at the message for a moment before typing out a quick reply. Asterisk, not really. I'm heading out of town for a bit. Need to clear my head. Asterisk. His response comes almost instantly. Asterisk, what happened? Asterisk. I stare at the screen for a long time, trying to figure out how to explain it. How do you sum up the destruction of your entire marriage in a few words? How do you tell someone that the life you thought you were living was a lie? After a minute, I type out the truth. Asterisk, caught Susan cheating. Asterisk. I hit send and immediately regret it. Seeing the words in black and white makes it all too real. There's no taking it back now. It's out there, exposed, just like the mess of emotions swirling inside me. Mike's response is fast, but blunt. Asterisk, no way. You serious? Asterisk. I almost laugh. Yeah, I'm serious. Too serious. I text back. Asterisk, dead serious. Found her with some guy at the house. She's been at it for months. Asterisk. There's a long pause before Mike replies, and when he does, it's exactly what I expect. Asterisk, man, I don't know what to say. You need a place to crash? You know I got your back. Asterisk. I do need a place to crash. I can't go back to that house, not with her still there, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet. I'm not ready to face anyone, even Mike. I need to be alone, to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next. Thanks, man, I reply, asterisk, but I need some time to think. I'll hit you up when I'm ready. Asterisk. I toss my phone onto the passenger seat and pull back onto the road, the wheels spinning beneath me as I drive into the night. After a few minutes, I see a roadside motel up ahead. The neon sign flickers, casting an eerie glow on the otherwise deserted stretch of highway. It's not much, but it'll do for tonight. I pull into the parking lot, my headlights cutting through the darkness, and park by the entrance. The lobby smells like stale cigarettes and cleaning products. The woman behind the counter barely looks up as I check in, sliding me a key without a word. I head to the room, my duffel bag slung over my shoulder, and unlock the door. The room is as basic as it gets: a bed, a TV that looks like it's from the early 2000s, and a small bathroom off to the side. But it's quiet, empty, just what I need. I drop my bag on the floor and collapse onto the bed, staring up at the cracked ceiling. My phone vibrates again, but I ignore it this time. I don't want to deal with anyone. Not tonight. For a long time, I just lay there, letting the silence wash over me. My mind is still spinning, but exhaustion is starting to creep in. It's been the longest day of my life, and I'm too tired to think anymore. Eventually, sleep takes over, pulling me under into the dark. I wake up to the harsh light of morning streaming through the thin motel curtains, casting a pale glow over the dingy room. My head feels heavy, and for a moment, I lie there, staring at the ceiling, trying to shake the fog of sleep. But then it all comes flooding back: the confrontation, the betrayal, the look on Susan's face as I walked out the door. I close my eyes, hoping for a few more moments of peace before reality fully sets in, but there's no escaping it. My phone buzzes again, and with a sigh, I roll over to check it. There's a message from Mike, asterisk, whenever you're ready, man. I'm here. Asterisk, it's a simple reminder that I'm not alone, but it does little to ease the heaviness weighing down my chest. I push myself up, sitting on the edge of the bed, and glance around the room. The place looks even more depressing in the daylight. But it's not the room that bothers me. It's the fact that I'm here at all. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be home, with my wife, planning our future, not hiding out in some rundown motel because everything I thought I knew just got torn apart. My stomach growls, reminding me that I haven't eaten since yesterday. I need food, coffee, something to bring me back to life. I grab my wallet and keys, running my fingers through my hair as I try to pull myself together. Outside, the parking lot is eerily quiet. The only sound is the distant hum of traffic from the nearby highway. I get into my car and drive toward the first diner I spot, a small place with a neon sign that advertises breakfast all day. It looks old, but clean enough. Inside, the smell of coffee and frying bacon hits me, and for a second, I feel a small bit of comfort. The diner is mostly empty, just a few people scattered around the booths, minding their own business. I take a seat at the counter and order coffee and a basic breakfast. As I wait, I pull out my phone and scroll through my messages again. Nothing from Susan. Not that I expected her to reach out, but it feels strange, like an unfinished conversation hanging in the air. Does she expect me to just disappear? Is that what she wants? The waitress sets the coffee down in front of me, and I take a long sip, the warmth cutting through some of the numbness. I can't disappear. I still have to face her, face everything, sooner or later. I think back to the conversation with my mother-in-law. She seemed to understand, maybe even support, my decision to walk away. But there's still so much left to deal with. The house, the money, the divorce. I let out a heavy sigh, realizing just how complicated this is going to get. The food arrives, but I barely touch it. My appetite is gone, replaced by the familiar knot of anger and sadness in my stomach. How did things go so wrong? How did I miss all the signs? I push the plate away and finish my coffee, trying to sort through the mess in my head. There's no fixing this, that much is clear. But what do I do next? The thought of going back to the house, to pack up everything, to face Susan again, makes me sick, but it's inevitable. I can't avoid it forever. After sitting there for what feels like hours, I make a decision. I pull out my phone and call a lawyer. It rings a few times before someone picks up, a woman with a brisk, no-nonsense tone. Law offices of Carlisle and Associates. How can I help you? I hesitate for a moment, my throat tightening. Saying the words makes everything real. But there's no turning back now. I need to file for divorce, I say, my voice hoarse. The woman on the other end is polite, professional, but I can tell she's done this 1,000 times. She asks me a series of questions, basic information, and I answer on autopilot, barely registering the details. By the time the call is over, my hands are trembling. I stare down at my phone, my heart pounding. It's done. The first step, the end of my marriage, is in motion. I leave the diner, the weight of everything pressing down on me harder than before. But at least now I have a direction, a path forward. It's going to be a long, painful road, but I'll walk it. I have to. I drive back to the motel, my mind racing with everything the lawyer said. The process is straightforward, but that doesn't make it any easier. I'll have to go through the motions, dividing assets, negotiating terms, and worst of all, dealing with Susan again. It's inevitable, and the thought of facing her, of talking about the life we built together like it's some cold business transaction, makes my skin crawl. When I pull into the motel parking lot, I sit in the car for a while, staring at the cracked asphalt. The last 24 hours feel like a blur, like I've been dropped into someone else's nightmare. How is this my life now? How did everything unravel so quickly? I lean my head back against the seat, closing my eyes for a moment. I wish I could just drive, keep going until I'm far enough away that none of this matters anymore. But I know that's not an option. I can't run from this. Not forever. My phone buzzes again, and this time, it's Susan. My heart skips a beat as I stare at her name on the screen. A mix of emotions surging through me. Anger, sadness, regret. I don't want to hear her excuses, her apologies, but part of me is curious. What could she possibly have to say now? I let it ring a few more times before finally swiping to answer. Jason. Her voice is shaky, soft, like she's been crying. I need to talk to you. Please, can we just talk? I'm silent for a moment, unsure of how to respond. There's so much I want to say, so much I want to yell, but I don't trust myself to keep it together. Finally, I speak, my voice flat. What do you want, Susan? I'm sorry, she says, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry for everything. I know I hurt you, and I'll never forgive myself for it, but I need to explain. I need to tell you why. I shake my head, even though she can't see me. Why? What good is that going to do now? I don't expect you to forgive me, she continues, her words rushing out in a desperate stream. But I can't live with myself if you don't at least hear me out. Please, Jason, can we meet? Just once. I close my eyes, gripping the steering wheel tight. A part of me wants to hang up, to tell her there's nothing left to say. But another part, the part that's still searching for answers, hesitates. Maybe I need to hear it. Maybe I need to know why she threw everything away. Fine, I say, the words slipping out before I can stop it. I'll meet you. But this doesn't change anything. I know, she whispers, relief flooding her voice. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. We agree to meet at a park near our house, a place we used to go on weekends for picnics and walks, back when things were good. It feels like a cruel twist of fate, but maybe that's why she chose it, to remind me of what we had, of what's now broken beyond repair. I hang up and sit there, staring at the screen, wondering what I've just agreed to. What could she possibly say that would make any of this make sense? The drive to the park is familiar, but now it feels like I'm heading into enemy territory. The park is quiet when I arrive, the sun beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the grass. I spot Susan sitting on a bench near the path we used to walk together, her hands clasped in her lap. She looks small, fragile, like she's been crushed under the weight of everything. I park and walk toward her, each step feeling heavier than the last. She looks up as I approach, her eyes red and puffy from crying. For a moment, we just stand there, staring at each other, the distance between us feeling insurmountable. Jason, she says softly, standing up, thank you for coming. I don't respond. I just nod, waiting for her to get to the point. She takes a deep breath, her eyes filling with tears again. I know you hate me right now, and I don't blame you. I betrayed you in the worst way, and I don't expect you to ever forgive me. But I need you to know, I never stopped loving you. I laugh bitterly, shaking my head. You have a funny way of showing it. I know, she says quickly, wiping her eyes. I know I ruined everything, but it wasn't because I didn't love you. It was because I didn't know how to deal with what was happening between us. What are you talking about? I ask, my voice sharp. You cheated on me, Susan. What else is there to know? She flinches at my words but presses on. We've been drifting apart for so long, Jason. You've been so focused on work, and I felt like I was losing you. I know that doesn't excuse what I did, but I was lonely. I felt invisible. I shake my head, anger bubbling up again. So your solution was to sleep with someone else? In our house? No, she sobs. That's not what I wanted. It happened, and I hate myself for it. I stare at her, trying to process her words, but they feel hollow, like an echo in an empty room. Susan stands there, tears streaming down her face, but none of it is enough to stir the sympathy I once had for her. All I can see is the betrayal, the lies, and the months of deceit. I don't care how lonely she felt. She had choices, and she made the worst one. Do you really think this makes it better? I ask, my voice low and filled with bitterness. You felt lonely, so you decided to destroy everything we had? She sobs harder, wrapping her arms around herself like she's trying to hold the pieces of her shattered life together. Jason, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to understand. I was wrong, so wrong, but I wasn't trying to hurt you. I laugh, a sharp, humorless sound. Not trying to hurt me? How do you figure that? You brought him into our home, Susan. You lied to my face for months. What part of that wasn't meant to hurt me? She shakes her head, choking on her words. I never wanted to lose you. I thought if I could just have something on the side, it wouldn't affect us. Her words make me sick. It's like she doesn't even realize how twisted that sounds, how deeply her betrayal cuts. Something on the side. I repeat, my voice dripping with disgust. Is that all I was to you? Just part of your life, while you kept another part hidden away? No, she cries, stepping toward me, but I back away, keeping the distance between us. You were my everything, Jason. I was scared. I was scared you didn't love me anymore. I stare at her, incredulous. You were scared I didn't love you? You're the one who stopped trying, Susan. You pulled away. You're the one who shut me out. She doesn't deny it, just wipes at her tears and nods. I know I did. I was wrong. I should have talked to you, should have tried to fix things between us. But I was weak, and I made a terrible mistake. I shake my head, unable to believe what I'm hearing. A mistake, I mutter. You don't accidentally cheat on your husband for 6 months, Susan. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. A choice you made over and over again. She breaks down, her body shaking as she sobs, but I can't bring myself to care. Not anymore. I've heard enough. I'm filing for divorce, I say, my voice cold and final. It's over. She looks up at me, her eyes wide with panic. No, Jason, please. We can fix this. We can go to counseling, we can. I cut her off, shaking my head. No, Susan. We can't fix this. There's nothing left to fix. Her face crumples, and she falls back onto the bench, her hands covering her face as she sobs. I turn away, unable to watch her fall apart. This isn't my responsibility anymore. I've given everything I had to this marriage, and she's the one who threw it all away. I'll have my lawyer contact you, I say over my shoulder. You'll hear from me soon. I start walking away, each step feeling lighter, like I'm shedding the weight of everything I've been carrying. But there's still a knot in my chest, the pain of knowing that the life I thought I was building is gone. I don't look back, even as I hear her sobs behind me. There's nothing left to say. As I reach the car, I stop for a moment, gripping the door handle and taking a deep breath. I've made my decision. I've taken the first step, but it doesn't make the hurt go away. I get in the car and sit for a moment, staring at the steering wheel. The divorce process is going to be long, painful, and messy. There's no escaping that. But at least I have control now. I can rebuild my life, even if it's from the ground up. I start the engine, the familiar hum of the car grounding me. As I pull out of the parking lot, I make a promise to myself. No more looking back. No more second-guessing. It's time to move forward. The drive back to the motel feels different this time. Less like I'm running away, more like I'm making a choice to move forward. The weight of what I've just done still sits heavily on my shoulders, but it's mixed with a sense of relief. I've set things in motion. I've made the decision to leave her, to leave everything behind. But that doesn't mean it hurts any less. When I reach the motel, I head straight to my room, shutting the door behind me with a sense of finality. The silence is deafening, but I welcome it. I need this time alone. I need to think, to let everything sink in. I collapse onto the bed, staring up at the ceiling, my thoughts swirling around the conversation I just had with Susan. Her words replay in my head. Her apologies, her tears, her desperate attempts to explain herself. But none of it makes sense to me. None of it makes what she did any less painful. I keep thinking about how she said she felt alone, how she was scared I didn't love her anymore. How could she think that? After everything I've done, after the years we've spent building a life together, how could she believe for 1 second that I didn't love her? But maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe we both stopped talking, stopped really seeing each other. I was so focused on work, on providing for us, that I didn't notice her pulling away. And she made her choices. I pull out my phone and scroll through the messages from Mike again, his last one still sitting unanswered. I know I should reach out, tell him what's going on, but I'm not ready to talk about it. Not yet. Instead, I call my lawyer's office again. It's late, and I don't expect an answer, but I leave a message, confirming that I'm ready to move forward with the divorce. Just saying the words feels like another step toward reclaiming control. After hanging up, I toss the phone onto the bed beside me and close my eyes, trying to quiet my mind. But sleep doesn't come easily. The thoughts keep swirling. The life I thought I had, the future I imagined, now shattered by Susan's betrayal. I try to picture what's next, but it's like staring into a blank canvas, waiting for something to take shape. A knock at the door pulls me out of my thoughts. I sit up, frowning. I'm not expecting anyone, and the last thing I want right now is company. I hesitantly make my way to the door and peek through the peephole. It's Mike. I hesitate for a second, unsure if I'm ready to deal with him, but then I open the door. He's standing there, arms crossed, looking concerned. I figured you'd need some company, he says, walking in before I can even invite him. I sigh and shut the door behind him. I told you I needed time. Yeah, well, sometimes what you think you need and what you actually need are two different things, Mike replies, dropping onto the chair by the window. So, you gonna tell me what happened? I rub my temples, feeling the beginnings of a headache creeping in. I caught her, Mike. She's been cheating on me for months. He lets out a low whistle, leaning back in the chair. Damn, man. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, neither did I mutter, sitting back down on the bed. But I walked out. I'm filing for divorce. Mike doesn't say anything for a moment, just nods slowly. You sure that's what you want? I look at him, feeling a spark of anger rise up. What else am I supposed to do? Stay with her after what she did? Forgive her and pretend like everything's fine? No, he says quickly, holding up his hands. I'm not saying that. I just mean, it's a big decision, that's all. I've made my decision, I say firmly, my voice hardening. It's over. Mike studies me for a second, then nods again. All right. I just wanted to make sure you're thinking it through. I let out a long breath, my shoulders sagging. I don't have a choice, Mike. There's nothing left to think about. He leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees. I get it, man. I do. I hate that this happened to you. Yeah, well, me too. For a few minutes, we sit in silence, the weight of everything pressing down on us. Finally, Mike stands up, patting me on the shoulder. Listen, if you need anything, you know I'm here, right? You don't have to go through this alone. I nod, grateful for his support, even though I still feel like I need to handle this on my own. Thanks, man. He heads for the door, pausing before he opens it. Take care of yourself, Jason, and don't be afraid to lean on people. We've got your back. With that, he leaves and I'm alone again. But this time it feels a little less suffocating. I lie back on the bed, staring up at the ceiling once more. The room feels a little lighter now, but the road ahead still feels impossibly long. The silence after Mike leaves is deafening. It's not the kind of peaceful quiet that calms your nerves. It's the kind that wraps itself around your thoughts, amplifying everything. I can't help but replay the events of the past few days over and over, trying to pinpoint when exactly things went so wrong. When did we start drifting apart? Was it the late nights at work? The missed conversations? Or was it something deeper, something I never noticed? I'm lying there, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts like static, when my phone buzzes again. This time, it's a message from Susan. I'm hesitant to open it, but my curiosity gets the better of me. Asterisk, I know you're angry. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I just want you to know I love you. I always have, Jason. Please don't hate me. Asterisk. I stare at the message, the words blurring together as my mind races. How can she still say she loves me after everything she's done? How can she think that love is enough to erase the betrayal? It feels like she's clinging to a version of us that no longer exists. My fingers hover over the keyboard, wanting to respond, wanting to lash out, but I stop myself. What's the point? What can I possibly say that will change anything? The truth is, I don't hate her. I don't even think I can. But I can't love her either. Not after this. I let out a long, shaky breath and close the message without responding. There's no point in dragging this out. I've already made up my mind. The motel room feels smaller now, like the walls are closing in, and I know I need to get out. I need to do something to clear my head, something that doesn't involve sitting here with nothing but my thoughts and my phone. I grab my keys and head out into the crisp evening air. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the parking lot, and for a moment, I feel a flicker of peace. I drive aimlessly for a while, winding through streets that feel both familiar and strange. Everything in this town reminds me of Susan, of the life we built together, the plans we made. Even the grocery store on the corner feels like a cruel reminder of all the mundane things we used to do, the simple life we shared before everything fell apart. I eventually find myself at a park we used to go to on weekends, a place where we'd sit on a bench and talk about the future, dream about the life we wanted to build. The memories hit me like a punch to the gut, but instead of turning around, I park the car and get out. The fresh air feels good on my skin, a brief distraction from the storm inside my head. I walk down the path toward the pond where we used to sit. The place is almost deserted, just a couple of people walking their dogs or sitting on benches, lost in their own worlds. I sit on the bench we used to share, the one where we had countless conversations about everything and nothing. It feels surreal to be here now, alone. For the first time since everything happened, I let myself feel it, the weight of the loss, the grief. It's not just about losing Susan. It's about losing the life we had, the future we were supposed to share. I gave her everything, and now all of that feels meaningless, like it was built on a lie. I lean forward, resting my elbows on my knees, and take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I need to let this go. I need to accept that the life I thought I had is gone, and there's no getting it back. The only thing left is to move forward, whatever that means. But as I sit there, staring out at the water, I realize that I don't even know what moving forward looks like. Everything feels uncertain now. The future I was so sure of is gone, and I'm left with a blank slate, a terrifyingly empty canvas. I sit there for a long time, watching the sunset reflect off the water, the colors shifting from golden to deep orange, then fading into dusk. Slowly, I start to feel a sense of resolve settle in. I can't undo what's happened. I can't change the past, and I can't force Susan to be the person I thought she was. But I can rebuild. I can start over. It won't be easy. It'll hurt like hell. But I have to believe that there's something better on the other side of this. That this isn't the end. It's just a new beginning. I stand up, taking one last look at the pond, then turn and walk back to the car. As I drive back to the motel, I feel lighter, like some of the weight has lifted from my chest. The road ahead is still long and uncertain, but for the first time, I feel like I can face it. The drive back to the motel feels different this time. Lighter, somehow. I know nothing has truly changed. My life is still in pieces, and I'm still grappling with the fallout of Susan's betrayal. But sitting by that pond, letting myself acknowledge the pain instead of pushing it down, gave me a strange sense of clarity. It's not about fixing what's broken anymore. It's about accepting it and figuring out what comes next. When I pull into the motel parking lot, the same dreary scene greets me. Flickering neon signs, cracked pavement, and the distant hum of the highway. But it doesn't bother me as much as it did before. I'm just passing through. This place, this moment, this pain. It's not permanent. It's not forever. As I get out of the car, I glance down at my phone. There are no new messages from Susan, no desperate pleas or apologies. Maybe she's finally accepted that this is over. Maybe she's given up, too. I'm not sure if that makes me feel better or worse. I walk into my room, dropping my keys on the table and collapsing onto the bed. The room is cold, the kind of sterile emptiness that feels like it's been waiting for someone like me. Someone lost, someone between lives. I stare up at the ceiling for what feels like hours, listening to the faint buzz of the air conditioner, my mind drifting in and out of thought. Eventually, I grab my phone and scroll through my contacts until I land on my lawyer's number again. I know I need to move forward with the divorce. I need to get everything in order before I can even think about rebuilding my life. It's just a formality now, but it feels like the last nail in the coffin of a life that's already dead. Before I can second-guess myself, I dial the number. The line rings twice before a woman's voice answers. Carlisle and Associates, how can I help you? I clear my throat, feeling the weight of the words I'm about to say. Hi, this is Jason. I called earlier about starting divorce proceedings. Ah, yes. We've already begun setting things up on our end, she says, her tone professional but not unkind. Are you ready to move forward with the paperwork? Yeah, I say, my voice steady. Let's do it. She explains the next steps, documents that need to be signed, decisions to be made about assets and finances, and of course, the legal process that will formally dissolve the marriage. I listen, nodding along even though she can't see me, feeling a strange sense of detachment from the whole thing. It's like I'm watching someone else's life unfold, like this isn't really happening to me. Once we hang up, I sit there in silence, the enormity of what I've just set in motion sinking in. It's official now. My marriage is over. And as much as that realization hurts, it also feels like a small step toward freedom. I don't have to carry the weight of Susan's betrayal anymore. I don't have to pretend like things can go back to the way they were. It's over. I look around the room, at the few belongings I've brought with me, and realize I need to start thinking about what comes next. Staying in this motel forever isn't an option. I need to find a place to live, a new routine, something to keep me grounded while I figure out the rest of my life. But the thought of apartment hunting and starting over from scratch feels exhausting. I have no idea where to begin. Maybe I'll talk to Mike. He always seems to have a handle on things. For now, though, I just need to get through the night. I lean back on the bed, closing my eyes, letting the exhaustion of the past few days wash over me. My body is heavy, worn out from the emotional toll of everything, but my mind is still racing, flicking between anger, sadness, and that small glimmer of hope that's starting to grow inside me. I remind myself that this is just one chapter in a much bigger story. It's not the end, no matter how final it feels right now. There's still so much ahead of me, even if I can't see it yet. Eventually, I drift off to sleep, the weight of the day pulling me under. For the first time in what feels like forever, my dreams aren't filled with the ghosts of what's been lost. Instead, they're empty, quiet, a blank slate, waiting to be filled with something new. The next morning, I wake up to the pale light creeping through the thin curtains, casting a faint glow over the room. There's a brief moment, just as I open my eyes, when I forget everything that's happened. I forget the betrayal, the heartbreak, the decision to end my marriage. For that fleeting second, it feels like just another day. But then reality hits, and the weight of it all comes crashing back down. I sit up, rubbing my hands over my face, trying to shake off the lingering fog of sleep. I know I need to get moving. There's no sense in staying holed up in this motel room any longer. I need to start taking steps to rebuild, starting with finding a place to live. The idea still feels overwhelming, but staying in this limbo isn't an option. After a quick shower, I gather my things and check out of the motel, feeling a strange sense of closure as I hand the key over to the clerk. I drive around aimlessly for a while, trying to clear my head, but every street I turn onto reminds me of Susan. It's like the whole town is haunted with memories of her, of us. I need a fresh start, somewhere that doesn't feel so tainted by the past. I pull over at a coffee shop and park, taking a deep breath. I grab my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Mike's number. He's been my rock through this, even when I wasn't ready to lean on anyone. I know he'll have some advice, some way to help me start putting my life back together. The phone rings twice before he picks up. Jason, man, how are you holding up? I lean back in the driver's seat, staring out the window. I'm okay, I guess. I just checked out of the motel, trying to figure out what's next. You need a place to stay? Mike asks, his voice filled with concern. You know I've got a spare room if you need it. I smile a little, grateful for the offer. Thanks, man, but I think I need my own space. I appreciate it, though. There's a brief pause before Mike speaks again. What about an apartment? I know a guy who's renting out a place downtown. It's small, but it's clean, and the rent's decent. I sit up a little straighter, the idea of a fresh start beginning to take shape in my mind. Yeah? You think I could take a look at it? Absolutely, Mike says. I'll give him a call and set something up. You want to meet me there this afternoon? I nod, even though he can't see me. Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it. No problem, man. We'll get you through this. After we hang up, I feel a sense of relief. It's not much, but it's a step in the right direction. A new place, a new beginning. Maybe that's exactly what I need right now. I grab a coffee and sit by the window, watching the world go by as I sip it. People walk past, cars cruise down the street, and I realize life is moving on, even if mine feels stuck. It's a strange feeling, knowing that the world doesn't stop just because your own life has been shattered. But there's something comforting about it, too. Life keeps going, and eventually, I'll catch up. By the time I finish my coffee, I feel a little more grounded, like maybe I can handle what's coming next. I head to meet Mike at the apartment downtown. It's in a small, older building, but it's in a quiet neighborhood, and that's what I need right now. When I pull up, Mike is already there, standing outside the building with a guy I assume is the landlord. The place looks modest but well kept, and as I get out of the car, I feel a small flicker of hope. Mike greets me with a grin. "Told you I'd find you something decent." The landlord, a middle-aged guy with a friendly smile, shakes my hand. "You must be Jason. Mike tells me you're looking for a fresh start." I nod, glancing up at the building. "Yeah, something like that." He leads us inside, showing me the apartment on the third floor. It's small, but it's bright, clean, and most importantly, it's mine. There's a tiny kitchen, a living room with big windows, and a bedroom just big enough for a bed and a dresser. It's nothing fancy, but it feels like a blank slate, a place where I can start rebuilding. "So, what do you think?" Mike asks, leaning against the doorframe. I take a deep breath, looking around the space. It's not perfect, but it's a place to start. A place that isn't filled with memories of Susan. "I think it's exactly what I need," I say, my voice steady for the first time in days. The landlord hands me the lease, and as I sign it, I feel a strange sense of finality. This is it, the beginning of something new. The first step toward moving on. When everything's squared away, I thank the landlord and Mike, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. I have a place to stay, a place that's mine, and it feels like I'm finally taking control of my life again. As I drive back to the motel to grab the last of my things, I realize that for the first time since I found out about Susan's betrayal, I feel like I have a future. It's not the future I planned, but it's something, and that's enough for now. Later that afternoon, I pull up to my new apartment, the trunk of my car filled with what little I took from the house. I haven't even begun to deal with the rest of my stuff, things I left behind in the place that used to be our home. But for now, this is enough. A couple of bags, a box of clothes, and the knowledge that I'm starting over. I park the car and start unloading, one bag at a time, into my new place. As I walk through the front door with the last load, I stop in the middle of the living room and just stand there for a moment, taking it all in. It's so quiet, so empty, but it feels peaceful. No tension hanging in the air, no memories pressing down on me. Just space. It's strange to feel this kind of quiet relief, even amidst all the chaos, but it's there. I can breathe here. I start unpacking slowly, placing my clothes in the small closet, setting my toothbrush on the bathroom sink, and spreading out a blanket on the bare mattress I've managed to get delivered. It's not much, but it's a beginning, and that's enough for now. I pull out my phone and scroll through the messages again. Mike has checked in a couple more times, asking if I need anything. There's another message from my mother-in-law, too, telling me she's sorry about everything and that she's there if I need her. She doesn't say anything about Susan, and I'm grateful for that. The fewer reminders, the better. But it's Susan's message from the night before that I keep coming back to. Her apology. Her claim that she never stopped loving me. It lingers in the back of my mind, gnawing at the edges of my thoughts. I know she's hurting too, in her own way, but I can't let myself go there. I can't let myself feel pity for her when I'm still trying to pull myself out of the wreckage she left behind. I drop the phone onto the mattress, staring at the ceiling. I need to stop thinking about her. I need to stop letting her take up space in my head. I'm not living for her anymore. I'm living for me. The thought sends a wave of unfamiliar relief through me. For the first time in years, I don't have to think about anyone else's needs. I don't have to walk on eggshells or worry about what's wrong between us. It's just me now. And as lonely as that might feel, it's also freeing. I grab my keys and head back outside, deciding to take a walk around the neighborhood. I need to get to know this place, to start carving out a life here. The sun is setting, casting a warm glow over the buildings, and as I walk, I start to feel a sense of calm settling in. This place, this new beginning, it's mine, no one else's. As I walk past coffee shops, a small grocery store, and a few quiet streets, I realized that this is the first time in a long while that I felt in control. Even when I didn't know about the affair, I was still living in a reality that wasn't real. Now, everything is laid bare. The truth, the pain, it's all out there. And as much as it hurts, it's also liberating. I sit down on a bench by a small park, watching as the last of the sunlight fades. I think back to the life I had with Susan, to the dreams we built together, and I feel a pang of loss. But it's different now. It's not the searing pain I felt before. It's more like an ache, a dull reminder of what once was, of what's gone now. And that's okay. I pull out my phone and shoot Mike a text. Asterisk, thanks for everything, man. I think I'm going to be okay. Asterisk. His response is almost immediate. Asterisk, knew you would be. Let's grab a beer this weekend. Asterisk. I smile, feeling the warmth of his friendship, of knowing I'm not going through this alone. Maybe I'll take him up on that. Maybe it's time to stop isolating myself, to start rebuilding in more ways than one. As I head back to my apartment, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope. It's small, fragile, but it's there. This isn't the life I planned, but it's the life I have now, and it's up to me to make something of it. I unlock the door and step inside, the emptiness of the apartment greeting me once again. But this time, it doesn't feel so empty. It feels like possibility. I'm starting over. It won't be easy. It'll take time, but I'm moving forward. And for now, that's enough. Thank you for spending your time with us. In closing, we invite you to continue to engage with our content. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to our channel to learn more about relationships, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Your support helps us to create more valuable content that can benefit other people facing similar challenges. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends or family who may also find it useful. Together, we can help foster a community that encourages open dialogue and mutual understanding in relationships. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we look forward to meeting you again in the future.